Friday. But first, if you're new to the show, Hello. Happy Wednesday. Good News Wednesday. Welcome to it. You're welcome to it. No, you are. You're welcome to it. It's good. It's good to have Good News Wednesdays because tomorrow, if you are in L'America, then of course you have a Thanksgiving dinner. Well, not all of you. I mean, some of you probably don't want to give thanks, or you might not like turkey, or you may not have a family. I mean, all those things are true, but not necessarily good news. We don't, of course, celebrate the old Thanksgiving outside the US, unless, of course, you are American. Adam, how are you, my friend? Good day to you. Great to see you. Thanks for popping in, my friend, because I'm feeling a bit lonely. There's only you and me and another. It's, I'm home, so that's good news. Yeah, I'm guessing a lot of you guys take a few days off around Thanksgiving, get it prepared, and then come like detox after the event and everything, which is why we're probably going to be a little bit light today, because of course most of my audience are of the American variety. Took today off, but that's all good. Rockmouth's here, look. Hello, Rockmouth. Good to see you, my friend. Now, you're in Canada, aren't you? But you guys do have a Thanksgiving, but is it earlier in the year? Is it like a month back or something? And obviously you're giving thanks for an entirely different reason. I did look into the history of Thanksgiving. It's quite interesting. It's all about the very early settlers from Europe, I think from England, and how they assisted a Native American tribe to kill their enemies, and they all celebrated. It's all a bit weird. I need to pick up my daughter from school in a few minutes. No problem, my friend. I tell you what I need to do. I need to get it into studio mode and pull up the chat box because it's all looking a bit weird. Let's take that down to there. I'm in Sweden. I beg your pardon. Of course you are, my friend. Of course you are. The beautiful country of Sweden. 200. You guys don't have a Thanksgiving, do you? I mean, all countries kind of have their own something or another, don't they? Right, I'm hoping that that's now good. Let's have a look at what Adam said. Yeah, it's a bit better. I think it could go wider still. It was too big and it was crashing. So let me see. If I do that, I'll take it down. Oh, it's all good. It's live changes. And as I think we're going to be fairly light on folk today, that's all. It's not an issue at all. So I'm going to take that down to there. And then I'm going to hit properties, and then I'm going to make that 560. Let's go with that. I think that's a bit big. I think that's going to be better. We'll test it in a second. So let's come out of studio mode, and we'll put Adam's daughter's message in. There we are. I think that's okay. We'll take it up in size a little bit. There we go. It's going to take a much bigger message before it crashes. Sorry, yeah, Rockmouth, you are in Sweden. I remember now, my friend. Beautiful country. I'm really hoping maybe next year, maybe not, maybe the year after, but I'd love to go and explore the whole kind of Scandinavian scene. I'd love to do Sweden and Denmark and Finland. And Greenland, although they're all kind of disparate and very spread apart, aren't they? I don't know if my bicep needs to get bigger. Well, this is a good point, my friend. Mine does. As I get older, they tell you to get into resistance training, weights and bands and stuff, and less cardiovascular. I think it's still good, but you don't need as much of that. But bigger text is more legible. Yeah, so I'll make it a little bit bigger. The problem was, I don't mind if it covers my old face. It was just, Adam, what was happening was that the box itself was too narrow, and so the line was kicking over and then crashing down. But I think that works, so that's all good. Anyway, here we go. So it's Good News Wednesday, where we share good news. I mean, we try and do this all the time on this channel anyway, don't we? I can't be getting into the whole negative stuff. And I know bad news sells, but it's about time it didn't. That's what I'm saying. I think, the world's in a mad enough shape as it is. We need to share good news, don't we? We had some great news last week, of course. Ryan's birthday last Wednesday, so that was absolutely amazing. And then I did a little late night show on Monday, wasn't it? A late night for me, a decent time for many of you guys. I don't know, I didn't actually look and see, but I know it was around half, I think it was about 19:30, 7:30 East Coast, I think. I'm not 100% sure. But of course, what better news than it is Thanksgiving weekend. Now, we are planning on doing a Rokk Players tomorrow. We know we're not going to get a huge audience, and we know that we're not going to get many of our American friends, because, you got things to be doing. But, oh, hang on, look at that. You've blown right through there. I read an article, the fast twitch muscle starts going away. I'll read it over here. I read an article, the fast twitch muscle starts going away. Slow twitch, which is for lighter movement, stays as we age. So fast movement. So, yeah, and this is why I find playing games that need a fast trigger, I can't do anymore, Adam. I'm genuinely having to either put mods on to help me, or play games that don't have that, or play on easy mode. And it's not like I'm rubbish. I played some Destiny 2 the other day, and I was kicking it. But it is definitely harder. Definitely harder. I'm just going to go back and modify that chat box, because I can see what the problem is, my friend. Chat box. I need to give it more height. That's what I need to do. So let's make it 1,000. And look at that. That should now not crash. Let's try your amazing article. There we go. So it does kind of crash here. I can fix that with some CSS, but not now. We won't be doing that now. Never been particularly good at high reflex games. Yeah, I think you can train yourself, and I know a lot of kids, but there are, just as there are people that are faster on doing track and athletic stuff, or boxing, pugilism, then it's no different in gaming, is it? They're always going to be the very, very good and the not so good. I kind of err towards the not so good, but not too bad. But it's funny because I remember, I haven't long been into console gaming and the like. It's probably only about, I don't know, 12, 13 years maybe 13, maybe 15 years. I remember when I first started, boy oh boy was I bad. In fact, when Destiny 2 first launched, which was 10 years ago, I think, 9 years ago, if I tried doing a a raid, I was like the kid that you get, you may not get this, when we were kids and you were choosing who you wanted in your team, whether it's soccer or whatever, I was always the last one chosen. That was me. And when we were doing raiding, I'm certain I was the one they didn't want in the team. But, as time progressed and practiced and all that stuff, it got a lot better. But it's a funny old thing, isn't it? We're all different. That's the end result, isn't it? One of the reasons why I'm not a big fan of multiplayer gaming, and indeed competitive sports, is because people that are truly competitive, they don't care about your feelings. They just want to win, and I cannot stand that. Ryan, how are you? Formerly known as Raven. How are you, buddy? Hey yo, good to see you, my friend. So have you got, am I right in thinking that you guys tend to have a day either side of Thanksgiving as a Crystal, hello? Is that generally the case in the States, that you rather than just having Thanksgiving Day off, that you tend to take a day either side and then into the weekend, so you kind of get a longer weekend? Is that how it works? Doing awesome, Rokk. Oh, that's good news, my friend. That's good news. Have you got over your birthday celebrations? That was good fun, wasn't it, last Wednesday? Because we do the same thing. I mentioned it the other day. Our thing is Christmas, and we tend to, the whole weekend. But does that include the Friday as well, Crystal? Because Adam was just saying he's taken today off, and I'm guessing if you've got a big family and, they're coming from all over the place, they're going to probably end up coming the day before. So you want to be around to greet them and get the meal prepped and, get everything sorted for the big day. So, Adam, that's Ryan says that's exactly what you're doing, which makes sense. Absolutely makes sense. And it's now, isn't it, really? It's the kind of kickoff point, I think. Most people do, and no school. Oh, awesome. Do they go back to school next week up until Christmas? I guess they do, don't they? Because I think you guys don't tend to have... I don't know about schools in the States. Over here, they break up and they have about 3 weeks off for Christmas. Unitrix, hello there. How are you, my friend? Well, what an absolute treat to see you. Thanks for visiting. Lovely to have you. Lovely to welcome you. Monday, says Crystal. They go back to school on Monday. Yeah. So we have, I think our guys typically have about 3 weeks off for Christmas, aim to go back to school around the 3rd or 4th of January, depending on when it falls. So they get a week off after, around Christmas. Yeah, and that includes obviously Christmas itself. So I think we have a little bit more. We get 6 weeks off or the kids do, they get 6 weeks off in the summer, which I think we have later in the summer than your guys. And then they have every half term, so that's a full term ends. They have a major holiday, whether it's Easter, whether it's summer, whether it's Christmas. And then they have a half term holiday, which is about a week normally. Sorry, Adam, my kids have a half day off today and then are off tomorrow and Friday. Oh, that's nice. So that's brilliant, isn't it? Because it always falls on a Thursday, doesn't it? Is that correct? You change the date every year so that it falls on a Thursday. So it's really lovely because you get obviously Saturday and Sunday, Thursday, Friday, and then a half day today. So it's almost like a full week, isn't it? A full working week, which is really nice. And this kind of is the kickoff point, really, isn't it, for your whole leading into Christmas, and getting all set up. And I know a lot of guys. I think Ray even decorates for Christmas in preparation for. Hang on, sorry. A text pops up. I read it. My brain's gone. I shouldn't do it, should I? 4th Thursday of November. It is the 4th Thursday. Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. So it's always the same point in the month, but the date might be different. Got it. Because, of course, tomorrow, it's not quite so good news, but it's the 60th anniversary of the assassination of JFK, which pretty much everybody now believes that it wasn't purely Lee Harvey Oswald or even involved him at all. There's a huge amount of evidence now that certainly points to that not being the case, that there were others involved. I mean, the medical evidence alone is enough to make it obvious. Whether or not we'll ever find out, particularly in our lifetime, I don't know. I suspect not. I suspect that the evidence will ultimately come out, but it'll be after anybody who was potentially alive then are long gone. And there are people who, if you were in your early teens or younger, then, you're still relatively young today in your 70s. So I suspect that one day it'll truth out, as they say, but it also depends, who was involved and what implications that has on all sorts of relations across the world and internally and stuff. But not such a great piece of news, really, for tomorrow, but it just happens to fall on the 60th. I do remember, I remember the 40th anniversary really well. Because I've read loads and loads of books on it. It's always been a really fascinating topic for me. And I think 40th anniversary, so 20 years ago, was when I really got into it. But I was aware of it before. It's all part of that American law. I love America. I love American history. I love American culture. And that's warts and all. No country is 100% brilliant. But America's always fascinated me. I found out, here's some good news actually. I really like this. And I don't know if Rockmer's still here, but it's up the road from him. But I found out yesterday, or this morning, that in Finland, it's illegal to charge for education. And this is how it works. Okay, so you can't charge to be a private school, or a boarding school or whatever. So all kids who in a class in a school are of mixed wealth backgrounds. And what works really well because of that is that the wealthy parents are prepared to stump up money to make sure the school gets the best resources and the best teachers, and everybody, wealthy or not wealthy, benefits from it. As a result, they have amazing stats. Their kids do brilliant at school because everybody's at the same level. I think that's a really good thing. And we have, I know in the States there are private schools, certainly private schools in the UK. And, you're looking at upwards of $60,000 or $70,000 a term in some of these schools, who then go on to become prime ministers. What a surprise. Who knew? Anyway, where are we? So it's Good News Wednesday. Guys, have you got any good news? I've spent a good chunk of this afternoon over at my mum and dad's. My mum got a new laptop and she was donating her old laptop to my dad. So we had this kind of circle thing going on. So I had to prep the new laptop, which was a reconditioned one. Get the files off the old one that she still wants, luckily not too many, and then move them to the new one, while at the same time wiping her old one ready for my dad. Well, best laid plans and all that, because the problem was her files were about 15 gigs in size, but we had nothing to move them from the laptop with. They didn't have a thumbstick. So we tried doing it via Wi-Fi, and that was going to take forever. And then we found an old external drive. Brilliant, 500 gigs of available space. But the USB-A to USB-A that was attached between the laptop and the drive was faulty. So it only needed a wind, a little blow, and error. So got there in the end. But I think with some corrupt files in the process, so I need to go and finish the job, do some disk first aid, and see if I can rescue some of those files. But it never goes simple, does it? Never goes simple. But other than that, I'm having a pretty good week. I'm planning. I was saying, you guys may not have seen it on YouTube, but I think that the Monday night impromptu went so well. I'm thinking of trying to do that for the Friday members only show in the future. So from this Friday, I'll aim to come on at about 11 p.m. my time, which is what in the US? Let's see, 6 p.m. Eastern, and or is it 7? 6 p.m. Eastern, and therefore PST. Is it PST or PDT at the moment? 3 p.m. 3 p.m. Western, 11 p.m. Yeah, 3 p.m. I'm sure it's an hour on from there. I'm sure it's PDT now, isn't it? Which would, I mean, it's still telling me it's 3 p.m. and 6 p.m., but I was fairly certain the other day it was about 7:30. Maybe that was later because it went on past midnight. But I had a feeling it was 7 something. I don't know. I have a brilliant little app called Time Buddy. Where are you, Time Buddy? There he is. So what you do is you put New York. Let's put New York in there. We'll get rid of Moscow. You get out of here, Moscow. And San Francisco. There we go. And then I choose the time. Okay, so it is suggesting 6 p.m. and 3 p.m. Wow, it's so difficult to get a time that's late enough in the States. This is the problem. If I wanted to do something that was, like 7 p.m., for example, on the West Coast, I'd have to have a show at 3 a.m. in the morning, my time. And then it would be 10 p.m. New York, which is relatively late. It's a shame, isn't it, West Coast? West Coast must miss out on a lot of stuff live on that basis. Because even East Coast, if you're New York and you're thinking, yeah, I'm going to do my show at 8 p.m., that's at a time when West Coast guys aren't even just about leaving work. Tough one, that, isn't it? Can't you all have the same time zone and just work in the dark? That would work, wouldn't it? Just work dark. I mean, there's lots of sun on the West Coast. Which gets the most? You get more sun the further north you go, don't you? So the further south you go, the less sun you have. It's the same whether it's west or east. I guess it's the same. It's going to be relatively the same, isn't it? If it's on the same line. It's just if you go up or down. Who knows? Who knows? But anyway, a lot of people said, yeah, actually, we'd be up for that. So I'm going to give that a go. It's going to be, therefore, see, I don't know. I'm thinking this through, guys. If it's 3 p.m. East Coast, so at the moment, this time is lunchtime-ish for my East Coast friends. Okay, so what are we at the moment? 5:23. So it's 25 minutes past midday. Now, obviously, a lot of people don't have their lunch till 1. So technically, starting the show in an hour would be better for them. But then that would be an hour on the West Coast, which is kind of the preference, really, for West Coast would be like an hour or two ago while they're getting ready for work or school. Very hard to get it right. Luckily, we have video on demand, so you can always go back and watch it. But it is something I think a lot about because it's great fun having people in the chat and sharing and, chit-chatting, although there's not a lot of it at the moment. I think you guys have all got your heads in turkey and trimmings. Do you give gifts with Thanksgiving? Do you exchange gifts like at Christmas? Even less of them, but is it kind of I mean, as far as the tradition is concerned, is it purely the meal, potentially a church service or some sort of religious ceremony, drinking? Or is there more to it? Let me consult my AI buddy. What is involved in Thanksgiving? The federal holiday celebrated on the 4th Thursday of November, like Crystal said, originated as the day of Thanksgiving and Harvest Festival, with the theme of the holiday revolving around giving thanks. The traditional fare of the Thanksgiving meal typically includes turkey, bread stuffing, potatoes. Not on those. I'm off carbs at the moment. No potatoes, no bread, no rice. Cranberries and pumpkin pie. Oh, I love a bit of pumpkin pie. Other Thanksgiving customs include charitable organisations offering Thanksgiving dinner for the poor. Oh, that's nice. Attending religious services. I listened to one this afternoon. Actually, I'm a christened Christian, but I don't practice in respect. But I do love a church service, and I do love choral music, choir. So I listened to a service as I was driving along, which was actually really nice. It was relaxing, and there was the choir singing, and it just put me in a kind of a festive mood in some respects. Additionally, Thanksgiving is a time for families. Good News Wednesday. Oh, Sam's here. Hello, Sam. How are you? Well, no, it's coming up to the end of the day, isn't it? You're right. How are the doggies? I hope they're well. We were just talking about Thanksgiving, Sam, and what's involved. And I was intrigued to find out if presents are gifted in any way. But I don't think so. But it's largely it's just a feel-good celebration, isn't it? It really is. It's like, you know what? Let's just be nice to everybody for a day. You know, nice to people less fortunate than ourselves, nice to our family, nice to each other. I think that's lovely. We should always have a day in the year that we give thanks and are nice to people. We don't have a Thanksgiving Day, not in that respect. We have Christmas Day, but so does everybody else. Of course, not everybody. And my Jewish ancestors wouldn't have celebrated Christmas, of course. Or indeed, my good friend Hamberly, who stayed with us last Christmas. He's Muslim, so he doesn't celebrate Christmas. Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, NFL football games. Oh, so you get a bit of sport, do you? Additionally, Thanksgiving's a time for families to gather together, and it's also a time to help others through volunteering and charitable activities. I like that. That's really brilliant. The holiday is celebrated in various ways, including parades, running events, friendsgiving gatherings with friends. After the meal, families often relax by taking walks, playing games, or taking naps, or watching rock players. It's going to be good. The history of Thanksgiving dates back to the 1621 harvest feast shared by the English colonists, the Pilgrims, of Plymouth and the Wampanoag people. Do you remember me saying earlier? They don't say it here. But it was after they popped in. The Wampanoag said, we're really not getting on with our neighbours. And the Pilgrims said, well, come on, we'll help you. And they killed them all. And then they celebrated it. Over time, the holidays evolved to allow immigrants of every background to participate in a common tradition. Isn't that nice? So Plymouth, I think I've said this to you guys before. We'll do a quick look on the old map. Google Maps. And having done that, I will switch us over to Larry. You there, Larry? Here he is. Good old Larry. So I'm going to show you just how close Plymouth. So Plymouth was mentioned a second ago. It's obviously where the Mayflower last left the UK, left Britain, because it had actually started, let me zoom out, that little heart there that you can just see, that's where I am. There we are, in Exeter. And Plymouth, where the Mayflower set sail, is just there. So it's very, very close. And they basically came out of here and they went all the way up here. There's Ireland. I don't think they stopped in Ireland. That's Ireland there. And then they went all the way over here. Pretty much. There we go. All the way over here. Woohoo! Down around here. Where are we? Somewhere around here, was it? Or was it here? I'd need to do my research. Somewhere around there. And that's where they were. But they actually started, I believe they started up here. The ship started up here, Went down to Southampton or Portsmouth, one of the two, which is just around here. Portsmouth is there. And then they made their final trip before heading off to the States to Plymouth, where they stocked up with provisions. Massachusetts. Did you see it, Crystal? That's where Crystal is. There we are. There's Crystal. Do you remember we did that little thing back along where we saw where everybody lived? That was really sweet, wasn't it? Wilmington, Myrtle Beach, Charleston, Delaware. These are all the way along here, aren't they? New York. Let's see. Where's... No, Charleston. I just saw it, didn't I? Charleston. Is it Charleston? There's two Charlestons, aren't there? There's Charleston, Virginia, and then there's Charlestown, I think, which is where I may be getting confused. Let's have a look. Charlestown, which sent me to Britain. Well, my history is letting me down, guys, and that doesn't happen very often. Anyway, it's around here, and you can see it's actually fairly... See, you've got to be... This is the thing. It looks like it's a straight line, right? Truth is, because the Earth is spherical, it could be that they went up here and then down there. Because if you fly from New York to Heathrow, it looks like a straight line, and indeed it is. However, because the Earth is spherical, it goes up and down. It's really, really weird. Really weird. Spherical geometry. I watched an hour's worth of YouTube video on it earlier. Blew my mind, actually, how it goes all the way back to ancient Greece. Euclid, I think the guy was called Euclid. Euclides. Anyway, he was a mathematician. He wrote the book on maths. He basically, literally wrote this book, which is only second to the Bible in how many times it's been published. And it has gathered all the knowledge that existed at the time on mathematics. And he had a fifth rule, which was to do with spherical geometry, which was only recently, I say recently, over the last few hundred years, acknowledged as a fact. And it even went on to define quantum physics, this one rule, and technically quantum universes. But it is fascinating, isn't it? Because we look at a map of the world like this, and the world's nothing like this. These shapes have all been squashed in to get the thing onto a flat space. But there is a map, which I forget the name of, which shows the actual size of the countries based on how they occupy the space on a sphere. And it blows me away how differently it is to what we see here. Al, how are you, dude? Great to see you, my friend. How are you? Did you fix your GeForce issue? I put messages on in the Discord for GeForce, and another ambassador might offer some assistance, but I never hear from the men. So that's why I was saying it's probably not worth me looking, to be honest with you, dude. But I hope you did. We were just talking about how close Plymouth is to where Sam and I live, although we don't obviously live there together. And it's only about a 50-minute drive, Sam. It's not very far, is it? We tend to go along this road and down to Plymouth. There we are. I actually like Plymouth. Now, a lot of people don't like Plymouth. I really like it. It's an old naval town, so obviously it's had its ups and downs depending on how important the Navy is or has been perceived. Because you have to bear in mind, these days, nobody really needs a Navy anymore. I mean, nobody really needs an army anymore, because it's all drones and guided missiles. Unless, of course, you're Ukrainian. Traffic depending. I went to university there. Oh, yes. Did you, Sam? I've been involved with Plymouth. Just get the chat box bigger. I've been at various times involved with Plymouth Uni, but more on the entrepreneurs courses. I've done guest lectures, Yes, I have. But yeah, I like Plymouth. I think it's all right. It gets much maligned. But, I haven't seen that before. Oh, yes, I have. It's a huge fisherman statue. Oh, that's quite an old photo. He's got his COVID mask on, so it's probably a little while ago that one was taken. Yeah, there's a little video here, look, that somebody's made. Doesn't go very far. It's showing that there's a natural sea water swimming pool just there. Let's go back again. Boop. Boop, just there. It's a natural seawater. I don't know how the seawater gets up there, mind you. Maybe it's not that. Maybe they just pump it uphill or something. Half-Life 1 still isn't playable on iOS devices, despite the game's recent update to incorporate official controller support. No reply. Well, mate, last week they said Dungeons 4 would be available as PC Game Pass, i.e. if you have Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, you can play it. Nope. I tried. And it is there, but only if you have the Steam version, even though it's on the PC Game Pass section. I don't know. Who knows? I can't pass comment, really, because I don't know. Adam's back. Now he's making lunch for his daughter. What are you making, my friend? Something nice and nutritious, no doubt. Being a man of the fitness as you are, I'm sure you're doing some amazing stuff for lunch. Right, well, as we're over here, we may as well pop over to the Good News website, haven't we? As it goes. And we got this far last week, didn't we? There's been a few since then. We have a forgotten masterpiece was hanging above a French woman's hot plate, which in and of itself sounds like a Carry On movie. A forgotten masterpiece. A few years ago, the art world was abuzz with news that a painting by the 13th century master Cimabue was discovered and was going up for auction. At the time, it was found in the house of a 90-year-old French woman hanging above her hot plate. I mean, it must have been damaged, surely, with the heat. Christ mocked, he certainly did, also known as the derision of Christ, was identified only because one of the elder's children decided to bring an appraiser into the house. Imagine that. It sold for $25 million. I wonder if the old lady's family got that. 4 times its predicted amount. Smithsonian reports that Fabrizio Moretti, the buyer, who was working on behalf of 2 other collectors, believed it to be of an inestimable. In other words, it had no value. It was basically priceless. It's one of the most important old master discoveries in the last 15 years, he told the New York Times. Cimabue is the beginning of everything. He started modern art. Wow. 1240. I want to know if the old 90-year-old lady got 25 mil. Wouldn't that be amazing? She's for years she's been stirring the old, le boeuf in the French pot, doing the whole thing there. Who wants a nice spoonful of my boeuf? And right above the hot plate is the derision of God, the derision of Christ, worth $25 million. Wow. I bet she was gutted to only find this out at the age of 90. But what a lovely thing to know that you've left a significant amount of money behind for your family. So I suppose that's got to be a good thing, isn't it? It's part of a diptych. I think a diptych is 2 paintings that are spread apart. So triptych is 3. that included, 8 different altar paintings. So much for my diptych. Only 2 of which are known today. There you go, diptych 2. I was right. But originally 8. Wow. Merely 15 works of Cimabue are known, and these are mainly frescoes. Christ Mocked will join the monumental Maesta, another masterpiece of Cimabue, whose restoration is currently... Yeah, because that's the thing. Look at it. It's in a right state, isn't it? Going to have to work really hard to repair that. Get all the cooking grime off it for a start. What was the year? 1240. Wow, 20-1. Wowzer. So there you go. That was that one. New medicines lie under the sea. Well, there's no doubt that that's the case. And then someone's come up with a device to sniff them out, apparently. Marine organisms are constantly releasing invisible molecules under the ocean's surface. And much like 1 million anonymous plants in the Amazon, scientists believe that some of these compounds could be medicines of the future. Yeah, well, you know where that story goes, don't you? Once it's gone, it's gone. Of course, we now have this totally bizarre new president in Argentina, which will almost certainly mean the destruction of more. Although Argentina, if I think I'm right in saying, is a huge cattle rearing country. So a lot of their forests have already been chopped down and turned into masses and masses of fields for cattle. So I don't know that they border. I don't think Argentina borders, because it's obviously Brazil that has most of the big tropical forests. Let's go take a trip down, shall we? So yeah, Argentina is this area here, and it's got a huge mountain range, which is this white coloured stuff, and then a lot of it is just farm plains for cows and such. Ray, how are you, dude? Great to see you, my friend. Happy Thanksgiving Eve. I think that's a thing, isn't it? It can be a thing. Lovely to see you, my friend. So he's not going to be doing a huge amount of damage. Luckily, Brazil has a new president who cares much more about what goes on in the Amazon. The state of Amazonas up here. Do you know what? They should charge Amazon for the use of the name, shouldn't they? They should charge him $1 billion a year for the use of the name. They should trademark. He can't say he's got prior. It's been called the Amazon for years. Trademark it and then charge Amazon $1 billion for the use of the trademark. You heard it here first, folks. But at the moment, luckily, was it Bolsonaro, the previous Brazilian president, who was another fascist, and, in a long line of MAGA-like wannabes. But he came in and he's made some really strong steps towards protecting the Amazon and addressing some of the social ills in Brazil. Sadly for Argentina, but Argentina has always been right-wing. I mean, if you think about it, it wasn't that long ago that all the Germans, all the Nazis flew to Argentina after World War II because they were going to get looked after, and they brought a lot of their wealth, their ill-gotten gains that they'd stolen from wherever they invaded, and ended their days. For a long time, there was an urban myth that Hitler had even not perished in the bunker with Eva Braun and actually had flown out to Argentina. Who knows? But either way, they're pretty much... I mean, this guy is extreme. I mean, he is totally extreme. He's about as far right as it goes. But that's kind of what they like in Argentina. It's not like they've been predominantly liberal, and now they're like, for some bizarre reason, they've decided to take on a nutter. Chile. which in the UK we typically call chili, to be fair. But I know that you guys and the country itself prefers to call itself Chile. They're another one that struggles politically, aren't they? And there's Santiago. I've never been down to South America. When my eldest was young, so sweet, she had homework. She had to do a video, or she had to do something for the Venezuelan Tourist Board, right? So I came up with this idea of doing a geek. Thank you so much, my friend. That's the first super chat I've had in absolutely ages. Bless you. Bless you, bless you, bless you. And AO to you too. Happy Thanksgiving for tomorrow, bro. Hope you have a wonderful day. So she did this video, and it is on YouTube somewhere. It's so good. And it, what was it we called it again? I remember. It was my idea. You know, Around the World in 80 Days. I came up with Around the World with Katie Days. Yes! And so she put the glasses on and everything, and she's like, "Hi, Katie Days here. Welcome to Venezuela." We did all this green screen stuff. She couldn't have been any older than about 10 or 11. It's so cute. Around the World with Katie Days. Oh, mate, we're all great. Geek, my good friend, we're celebrating our Good News Wednesday. And of course, tomorrow's Thanksgiving. So we're kind of getting everybody all nice and cozy feeling, and, you know, feeling all warm and happy to lead into Thanksgiving tomorrow. I might celebrate Thanksgiving. I might have my own little Thanksgiving, you know, as a sort of an honorary friend of the States. Oh, Adam, we've lost you there. Let's bring it over. I'm good, relaxing now. My son's sleeping because he goes to bed late and has to wake. Doesn't stay up too. I'm going to need to expand the time. And has to wake up at 6 for school. Can't get him to go to bed any earlier. Yeah, I was the same. I was the same in my teens. It was back in those days, CB, Citizens Band Radio, had just come out. And me and my mate Mike, we used to be on the CB all night. He was called Greenfinger, I believe, because he liked to garden. And I was called Polar Bear. I don't know. I have no idea why. Oh, I know. I do remember why. I had done a painting of a polar bear. And that was it. Purely it. But because we weren't sleeping, you know, it was 10-4 for a copy and all that stuff. Next day at school, terrible, sleeping all the time. You get out of it eventually, don't you? It all works out with your system. Gobble, gobble. Gobble, 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 gobble. Gobble, gobble, gobble. Yeah, it's coming up, turkey. Isn't there, isn't there a turkey that gets pardoned by the president? I tell you, one turkey is desperate to get pardoned, but he's... I don't know if it's going to happen or not, but boy, is he desperate to get pardoned. Oy vey. Anyway, yeah, so there you go. Around the World with Katie Days. I must dig it out. It's amazing to see how many countries there are in South America, isn't there? French Guyana, Suriname, Venezuela, Colombia, Ecuador, Peru, Bolivia, Paraguay, Uruguay, Argentina, Chile. In fact, that's all Chile, isn't it? Santiago's the capital. And then I think, what we got? The Falkland Islands. Oh, they're coming. Oh, dear. The Falkland Islands. That's British territory, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not going to tell you I'm particularly proud of that. South Georgia and the South Sandwich Islands as well over there. I think we've got a little... This is Antarctica here, down here, which is, and of itself, is a continent. But yeah, so there was a bit of a war in the early 1980s with the then Argentinian president deciding to take them back. Look, to be fair, they're a lot closer to Argentina than they are Britain, right? But it's become one of those, British things. And there's talk of the current nutcase, Millet, whatever his name is, the chainsaw massacre, of taking them back. Well, good luck with that, mate, because I don't think your army or your navy has significantly improved since the 80s. And unfortunately, we have a bunch of nutters in government at the moment who would love nothing more than a little war to cement them through the next election. So it really wouldn't be a good idea or a good time to be doing things like that. Anyway, where we were was back here, weren't we, with new medicines. 470,000 glass bottles turned into coating for slashing heat. What does that mean? Slashing heat. In Hong Kong, SAR, air conditioning to drive away the muggy subtropical heat accounts for almost a third of the total electricity consumption. See, that's the thing, again, in the UK, being the temperate climate that it is. Very few places have air conditioning. Now, that might change in the coming centuries, but it isn't a thing that we predominantly need. Yeah, my Sam, a good friend of mine, Pete, who's actually been in the chat on the show. He did a 6-week stint. He's in the Air Force. He did a 6-week stint down there recently. They have to rotate. He said it's a pretty boring place. There's not a lot going on. Lots of penguins. Nobody wants to be there for too long. But yeah, it's a military base. It's a landing base. I mean, look, you know what? It all goes back to the whole colonies thing, doesn't it? I don't know. I think they must have a reason. I'm not even going to go there. It's Good News Wednesday. In this megalopolis of 7.4 million, 2 young engineers looked for a greener solution. So basically, a third, almost, of their total electric consumption is just air conditioning, just to cool them down, right? Because it is a very muggy, certain times of the year, incredibly subtropical, muggy place. And the young James Dyson, who is indeed one of the wealthiest people in the UK. He owns more agricultural land than anybody else in the UK, all because in the UK you can offset inheritance tax against agricultural land. That's all it is, purely for tax. Hui Feng Ronaldo Chan and Can Jovial Zhao created e-coating, an eco-friendly solution that solves 2 problems in one. It takes advantage of the 470,000 glass bottles that end up in landfills every day to create a reflective coating that reflects the sun rays. Sun rays get reflected. It's great news for the humans. I suppose it ain't such great news. What? Where's this? What do they do? Put it up on the roofs or something? Made from recycled waste glass, it can be applied to exterior roofs. Okay, so it's like a cladding on the buildings, tackling the problem of throwaway glass while also reducing the amount of electricity consumed. I suppose that's... Based on my program calculation, you can save about 30% energy usage on air conditioning, says Ronaldo. I wish he just stuck it with football. I mean, why is he getting involved in this? Ronaldo and Jovial have come up with a clever way to turn waste into something much more valuable, says Sir James Dyson. I'm a love-hate with James Dyson. He was a massive proponent of Brexit. And, you know, we need to get rid of foreigners. And then he moved his entire business out to Singapore. It's like, you hypocrite. Wow. Our tax system is tiered, says Adam, and they still fight very hard to get out of it. Yeah, well, we have the same thing, my friend. We don't have a one-size-fits-all tax bracket either. And, you know, it has dropped significantly for the super wealthy. And to be fair, tax avoidance rather than tax evasion. So tax evasion is illegal, tax avoidance is fair game. And the point is, the more money you have, the better the accountants you can afford, who will always find ways for you to avoid paying tax, which is why the super wealthy don't. So anyway, you may or may not know James Dyson. I'm sure you've seen Dyson. I think Dyson vacuum cleaners and hand dryers and things exist in the States as well as they do anywhere else in the world these days. But anyway, I mean, that sounds like a good idea. I don't know. I'm not so sure about this. Glass on the side of a building. I mean, the light's going to be indirectly bouncing off of it. It's not going to go straight back up into the sky, is it? So if you put a mirror on the side of a building and the light hits it, it's going to slap off in all sorts of directions and maybe even make the whole thing worse. It seems to me a bit like this. I don't know. I'd need to see the science on that one, but I'm not totally convinced. Portugal runs on 100% renewables, dropping consumer electric bills to nearly zero for 6 days in a row. Well, I got excited then. 6 days. Sunny, windy, wavy and small. Portugal is uniquely suited. Portugal, for those of you that don't know, is next to Spain. Here we are. So there's Spain and there is Portugal. It's a beautiful country. Obviously, Portugal is where your man came from. Which man, Rokk? You know, the one that's credited for discovering America but didn't. I've forgotten his name. He's from Portugal. And what's he called? What was he called? Come on, American friends, tell me. But I do like Portugal. It is different to Spain. I mean, they're similar, but they are different countries. Columbus, thank you, Adam, very much. Christoph Columbus. Yeah, he was Portuguese. And he had a little bit of a bursary from the Queen, I believe, of Portugal, and headed off to seek gold and fortune. And then the Spanish obviously went over and destroyed huge amounts of the culture in South America, which is really good news. But nonetheless, Portugal's uniquely suited to renewable energy. Well, it does have a lot of heat, a lot of sunshine, which it just proved by powering the nation of 10 million. It's a little baby country with the forces of nature for 6 straight days. Most countries could replace huge amounts of fossil fuels using, I mean, even there are some countries like, think Finland, that use geothermal energy and they have no need to buy it. See, Britain sells most of its energy that it generates outside of the UK. Completely senseless. So, we generate all this wind energy and all this stuff, it's amazing, and then they sell it on the open market rather than keep it, and then they have to go and buy it at open market prices. Where's the sense? It makes no sense. It is a bizarre thing. But it's what happens. I don't know about anywhere else in the world. It certainly happens here. New coral adoption program by 4Ocean to help save the reefs. We need to help save the reefs. National Geographic unveils its top pictures of the year. It's a dogfish, isn't it? Oh, wow, look at that tail. Oh, that's a sea snake, isn't it? It's not a tail. That's a sea snake. So what have we got? We've got any decent photos? From venomous sea crates in Palau to monarchs wintering in Mexico. Oh, look at that. Oh, jellyfish. They're gorgeous, aren't they? Deadly, but jelly gorgeous. It's out there, Sam. It's there are some issues with tidal power, but we do actually have some pretty massive wind farms and tidal farms offshore. In fact, I'm hoping to hear tomorrow that we've landed a contract developing an application for the wind farming industry. So watch this space. That's going to be my big good news this week if that comes off. So they definitely could. Even the US, we have tons of extra land and sea, We companies here export more oil than sell here. There you go. And it keeps the prices higher. It's bizarre, mate, isn't it? At the moment, the world economy is too much dependent on oil. And this is the problem. Until the balance can be struck and it can be reduced down, I think there's always going to be issues. Neil, how are you, dude? Wish I could have joined, but working, that's all right, my friend. I'll put a copy up on YouTube for you. You can watch it later. It's all good. It's not the best show I've done, but it's got some interesting bits in it. But no, you're right, Adam. There's I saw somewhere once that if you put solar panels in the Sahara Desert, or I mean Africa, like North Africa is largely desert these days, right? And you could put solar panels in that desert, and it was like a 5 mile by 5 mile thing. It wasn't vast, but it would generate enough energy to power the world. So, well, do it, you idiots. Hey, how are you? It's Eddie, ladies and gentlemen. ER Gaming. Hey, Rokk. Hey, chat. Been a while. Good to see you, my friend. I hope you're well. We're getting to that point in the calendar, aren't we, where everybody's starting to kind of just chill a bit. You know, whether it's for our good friends tomorrow for Thanksgiving, or we're just about coming to the end of December, and then December just is crazy. It doesn't matter what you want to try and get done in December. People just start, Builders break up really early. Historically, they've always broken up really early in the UK, heading into Christmas, 2 or 3 weeks before the big day. And then everybody else starts to wind down. Nobody wants to do anything that they're going to have to end up working on over Christmas and stuff. But it's all good. Anyway, that is one beautiful photo of a jellyfish. Got some cave divers there. What else we got? Got dancing flamenco dancers. Like gypsies, I think this is. Or Romanis or travellers. What do you call them? They call them pilgrims. Pilgrims sing, dance and play flamenco during a stop along their spring journey to the Virgin of the Rokk shrine, wherever that is. But there they are, doing their old traditional thing with a bit of flamenco. And why not? Lovely. Keep the traditions going, ladies. What's always more? And then a big fish. Was that a dogfish? That's a zebra or a zebra shark. In an aquarium. Oh yeah, you can see it's in an aquarium. That's not that great a photo, is it? Someone's just taken a photo of a shark in an aquarium. It's nice. I've done as good as that in our local aquarium. Very quickly, and then we're going to wrap it up. Satellite image reveals Serbia's hidden Bronze Age settlements. 100 previously unknown sites. Do you know, we're in a real renaissance period for archaeology. We're discovering amazing 4 unknown sites across the whole of Europe and into Turkey. Turkey, it turns out, has the oldest settlements. I mean, the most amazing. I always get the name wrong, so I'm not going to try. Gululi Tepe. Google Tepe. But this is just pre-everything by thousands of years. And we're learning all the time that our interpretation of how old civilized people are goes way, 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 way back before. It's not to suggest that there weren't still hunter-gatherers in Northern Europe and other parts of the world, obviously in Africa, even to this day. Google Tepe. Google it, mate. But we're discovering that in certain parts of the world, there were incredibly advanced civilizations, including the pyramids, because people keep going on about the Great Pyramids being, going back to just a couple of thousand years. But it turns out they're way, 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 way older. Way, way older. The Sphinx is probably one of the oldest sizable monuments on the planet. Goes well back before the kings of Egypt. But there we go. The young inventor surprised with 2023 Dyson. Dyson's got another thing going on. He's obviously been throwing some money about, isn't he? This is the life chariot designed to save lives in Ukraine. Wow. I really wish that we collectively, the world, were doing more to bring that conflict to an end. It's kind of gone a bit quiet recently, and I suspect with both the UK and the US elections coming up next year that it'll get even quieter. And of course, depending on who gets in the States, they could be completely abandoned, which is a real shame. Bumper snowfall to start early ski seasons in Europe. That's got to be good news if you love your skiing. I've never done skiing. I'm way too clumsy for that and way too tall, as Sam will testify. If I fall over, the world shakes. Archaeologists find 24 bronze statues without equal, preserved in Tuscany, 2,300 years that rewrite history. You're going to hear and see much, much more of that coming up, without shadow of a doubt. We are really in a fascinating archaeological period, partly because of new technology that is able, for example, satellites that are able to see settlements under the ground by virtue of different colorations of the soil and so on. So it's all going to be good. Have you guys been looking at the Steam sale? I did notice that Diablo 4 was 40% off or something. It's still not quite my sweet spot, but I definitely do want to own it at some point. BFG was the big gun in Doom. It was, you're right, Adam. It was. Exactly. And if I remember rightly, wasn't there one also in... I mean, obviously it was a big friendly giant, but from Roald Dahl. Did you know, Sam, that Roald Dahl was actually Ronald? And he took the N out because he thought it sounded posher and would make his books stand out. Which is the same with David Walliams. His real name is David Williams. Same thing. And interestingly enough, he is a virtual copycat of Roald Dahl's books, isn't he? He's kind of taken the formula. Even the original Quentin Blake illustrations are very similar to the ones that David Walliams, who I personally don't like, uses for his books. Fascinating. Right, ladies and gents, I think we'll call it a day there. So the plan for Friday is to do a late one, but we'll see how it goes. I'm still not totally sure it's going to be work for everybody, so we'll see. And of course, we're still in Thanksgiving week, so you know it may be a bit premature to determine. But either way, I am aiming to be back on Friday. Thank you everybody for popping in. Really appreciate it, and appreciate you more importantly. I hope you have an amazing Thanksgiving, guys. I genuinely do. I hope it's relaxing. I hope it's fun. I hope it's full of family cheer and gets you just in the right mood to lead into the festive season. I will see you all on Friday. Those of you that are, of course, Team Rokk members. Those of you that aren't, I will see you next week. And I may do an impromptu. I might even do some game streaming. I haven't done it for a little while. The reason is I've kind of finished all the games that I think anybody would be interested in. I'm just mopping up right now. So I've got nothing new to excite anybody with. Nobody wants to see me doing unexciting. Happy Turkey Day, unless you're a turkey. In which case, my commiserations, my fine feathered avian friend. Hogwarts, I've got Hogwarts to finish. I've been playing it today, actually. I've got about 5 main quests left, but they're not showing up. I've just got a lot of kind of incidental stuff that I think I need to play through it before it pops up with a new main quest. Oh, take care, my love. Lovely to see you, Crystal. Have a fantastic day tomorrow with the family. And I will catch you all Friday. Take care. Oh, hang on. Pressing the wrong button. Here we go. Rock out.